Something I'm not crazy about is the factory suspension. It's not terrible out of the box if you're an average size rider. If you're bigger, I'm 250, not in riding gear, almost 290 in gear, and ride fairly hard. The stock suspension doesn't cut it. I've had the Forks and Shock revalved, resprung, and it's night and day difference. It's incredible, but it's still falling a little bit short on the very quick spirited rides. I'm getting beat up, blowing fork seals out. The bike is bottoming constantly. Have played around with valving on it, oil level, things like that to try and keep it under control. And it just comes down to the limitations of the factory components. The forks that are in this bike were originally off of CR 500 from about 1989-90. So we're talking about stuff that's 27 years old, definitely old technology, and it has its limitations. Of course, it was also designed to be used on a 220-pound dirt bike, and now it's on a 550-pound adventure bike. So a couple options to fix it. Can do cartridges. TourTech has replacement cartridges that drop right in the fork legs, the tube and stanchion slider. And TourTech and Nitron, I believe, are the only two. And I've had experience with the Nitron stuff before, and it was really good. I wanted to get a little more travel out of this bike. Honda has it listed as 220 mil travel in the rear and 230 up front, and I was hoping to get that a little bit closer to about 250 in the rear, 260 in the front, and I'm not able to do that with the aftermarket cartridges. So the only real option is to do a fork swap. So this is the factory Showa fork off of the AT. According to the Honda paperwork, they're 230 mil travel. When I actually measure them, if we go all the way to the fork lug, we've got about 233. But you can see there's a line here, and that's as low as the dust seal is going to go down. So these forks actually measure out at about 222. There's a rebound top-out spring in here, so if you pull them, they do get a little bit longer, and maybe that's where the 230 is coming from. But as it sits, they're 222. KYB SSS out of the Yamaha dirt bikes. They started using it in about 06. So these are generally considered to be the best dirt forks ever offered on a factory bike, period. If you read motocross shootouts, these forks are still top of the heap, even though they're over 10 years old. The lugs work out perfectly for Honda front axle. Slides right in both. I do need to lengthen it about 7 mil. But everything just fits and it works perfectly. The factory forks, where they go through the triple clamps, are 60 millimeters. Can you see that? 60 millimeters on the bottom. The triple S are 59 on the bottom. The uppers are 57 on the top and 56. So we've got some shimming to do. There's a 1.5 millimeter difference between this one and this one on the lowers, and there's a millimeter difference. So you have to come up with some way to shim those so that they fit properly into the triple clamps. So when I slide the forks in, you can see they're rattling around, which is a problem. So like I mentioned, we've got a 1 millimeter difference in the top, and we've got a 1.5 millimeter difference in the bottom. The solution that I came up with was to get some sheet metal, and this guy is a 1/2 mil thick, and this is 3/4 of a mil. The height on this is a 1/4 inch taller than the thickness on the triples. So I'm going to put it in the triple and have it stick up about 1/8 of an inch, and it's going to wrap around this. And I know some of you are thinking, what are you talking about? That's just going to slide out. That makes no sense. Bear with me. So I got some slugs made up, and what we're going to do, we're going to roll that around the slug, and we're going to drop it in the triple, and then we're going to peen the edge over, top and bottom, so these can't slide out of the triple clamps. So I don't know whether I gave them the wrong measurement when I got these sheared, or whether they cut them the wrong size. We're just going to take about 1/8 inch off of here, and we're going to snip the corners just like that. And I'm going to form this around the puck here, and then we're going to drop it into the triple, get them set up, and then we're going to clamp them tight. So we're going to have a gap on here, which is fine because there's a gap already on the triple. So we're going to try and get that lined up. And to get these started, I'm just going to get the chisel on the clamp here just to open this up a hair to make this a little bit easier to slide in. So the plan is to have the puck even with the top of the triple. And I'm going to try and get this sheet metal in here evenly top and bottom. Which is a little more work than it should be. So that's pretty close there. We've got a little better than an eighth inch sticking above here. And then the same on the bottom. And we've got the puck about centered. That should be good there. I'm going to tighten up the clamps on the triple here. Alright, so we're going to take a ball peen and we're just going to start knocking this over just to peen it over so we get an edge so that this isn't going to be able to drop up or down. So we'll do the one and then we'll have to flip them over and then do it the other direction. So we're going to start here where it's split and then just work away around back to the other split. So yeah, we've got a nice rolled edge. It's not a squared off edge, which I do want. I want it to be as much as a right angle as we can, just for lining up the top of the triples, or the top of the fork tubes, I should say. If I want them to be protruding above the clamps here, I want to be able to get an accurate measurement with calipers on how much higher they are. So we're going to go around with a chisel, or a drift I should say, and flatten this out. So I'm going to loosen this up and we're going to pop the puck up a little bit so that I have something to work against. Got a drift with a nice flat end on it. And then we're just going to go around again and tap this down flat. I'll pop the puck out, and we've got the start of our shim here. Obviously we can't work up from the bottom, so when I go to do these, which I'm not going to do right now, but you get the idea, is that put them in from the bottom. Next, drop the puck in, and then peen this side over. And what that is, when they're rolled over on both sides, then we don't have to worry about the shims slipping out of the forks. So these are done. So once you have all of your shims done, then we can put them in the triples. So we're going to slide these up from the top down in the lower triples, and then they're going to get peened over. They're not going to get peened right now because I'm not ready entirely with the forks. They need to go out to be to get the travel shortened and get them revalved and resprung for the weight of the adventure bike and the weight of me and everything else. So it'll be a couple weeks before I get those back. So in the meantime, I want to be able to put the factory forks back in. So we're not going to peen these just yet, but we're going to slide them in so we can mount the forks. So if we've done that all correctly, when I slide these in, they're going to be a nice tight fit and we can get them clamped properly. Looks good to me. So we can tighten these guys up. All right, great success. So we've got our shims made, we've got our forks attached to the bike. I'm going to call that the end of episode 1.